The honourable member for Little Bow.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today to speak to Bill 6, the Enhanced Protection for Farm and Ranch Workers Act. I would consider this a depressing day or disappointing day in this House, Mr. Speaker. But I will continue. Mr. Speaker, everyone knows the word enhanced. You've heard the word. It's a buzzword of people that would advertise. It's something that draws you to something that makes you feel like you want to get involved and purchase something or get involved in that. I would buy something that was enhanced, and I expect you would too, Mr. Speaker. But, Mr. Speaker, when I read through the sweeping, broad, undefined changes contained in this bill, it's clear to see it's not enhancing much. If anything, the way that it has been put so hastily thrown together with no input, sir, no input from farmers, there's none given. It is a detriment to the lives of the men, women, and children who live on a family farm and ranch. At first reading of this bill, the Minister of Jobs, Skills, Training and Labour introduced Bill 6 as an omnibus bill. Then, on November 27th, the Minister released a statement in an attempt to do some damage control, saying that the legislation provides two simple things. Number one, a paid farm worker can say no to something dangerous. Number two, if the paid farm worker is hurt or killed at work, they or their family can be compensated. In Vegreville, on Tuesday of this week, the Minister of Economic Development and Trade reiterated several times that the government wanted to ensure that farm families were protected. Many participants at the meeting in Vegreville stated they also wanted to ensure that their employees were protected. That is why they carry private insurance, because they have a choice. And what they want, Mr. Speaker, and I think this House has only heard it maybe 300,000 times in the last 24 hours. I understand we've talked about this for 24 hours. Farmers want choice on this. They want the choice to be able to use the insurance that is at very least exactly the same as WC, and in most cases more enhanced for less money. They are generally concerned that they are now forced to carry WCB as opposed to what they would feel is superior insurance. In fact, some of their employees have also expressed concerns they had with WCB. The staff are worried. I received 2 letters myself while I was standing in my Strathmore Brooks Bozano riding. Two employees came up to me and handed me letters they wanted me to table to the House, which I've done. Very concerned. They're concerned about how the hours will work out now, how they'll get the work that they want so that they can take care of their families. If the Premier's true intent is simply to provide farm and ranch employees protection, she could have accomplished this with a much simpler bill. But instead, Mr. Speaker, she's chosen to introduce Omnibus Bill 6 with changes to Employment Standards Code, Labour Relations Code, Occupational Health and Safety Act, and Workers' Compensation Regulation, Mr. Speaker. She has chosen to introduce a bill so wide open to interpretation that no Albertan can really know what the Premier's true intentions are. And what will come next? That's the question. What is next? This is an issue of trust. What were the Premier's true intentions? By no means is it necessary to implement changes to 4 pieces of legislation in order to ensure that farm and ranch employees receive proper protection. Many operators already carry private insurance. I've already said it, and they're asking for choice. Others voluntarily use WCB. That's the choice. Something that's being taken away with this bill, Mr. Speaker. That's not democracy. Mr. Speaker, this government is expecting Alberta farms and ranchers to trust the government as the government develops common sense regulations. Alberta farmers and ranchers have spoken loud and clear. They do not trust this government. They do not trust a government that has little or no experience in agriculture. They do not trust that this government possesses any common sense when it comes to the life on the family farm or in those farming communities where I'm from, where many of my members are from, some of the NDP members come from. And they certainly are not prepared to give free rein to a government that has broken their trust on this issue. The Minister of Jobs, Skills, Training and Labour said, "Our legislation allows us the flexibility to develop common sense regulations." I end that quote. In other words, Mr. Speaker, the legislation as it stands allows this government the flexibility to do whatever they want after Bill 6 is passed. Nobody in their right mind would agree with that. This government needs to develop the regulations first and prove it to the farmers and ranchers that they can trust this government. Trust is earned, Mr. Speaker. Trust is earned, not demanded. Protection for farm employees, fine, but Bill 6 is an attack on the family farm, our way of life, our Alberta family farm culture, and our freedom. In communities across Alberta, culture, as you know, Mr. Speaker, matters. Culture is the window through which the rest of the world sees our province, and it is a beautiful window today. In our farming and ranching communities, that culture is a culture of togetherness, of neighbours helping neighbours in times of need, and of an honest day's work. We already heard the member to my left had himself in a hospital for 3 weeks, and the neighbours came and helped him out and did his job for him. That's what people do. That's what farmers do. I believe protection for farm and ranch workers is the right thing to do, but to impose this legislation onto the family farms and ranches is beyond excessive. This government needs to listen to the farmers and ranchers and their employees that are speaking, and nobody's listening. That's the feeling they get. That's what the good grief, how many letters and emails and petitions and good grief knows what telling us we don't trust, we just want to be heard, we want choice. If Bill 6 truly is about protecting the farm and ranch employees, is it? We won't know that. I guess we're not going to know that for about 18 months. Mr. Speaker, the minister stated on November 25th in this assembly, and I quote, "I think we can all agree these folks, and those folks being farmers and ranchers, face enough uncertainty without having to worry about what would happen to their families if they were injured or worse, killed on the job. When most Albertans go to bed at night, they don't need to worry about that, and that's because most of us are covered by laws that protect our health and safety on the job." I end that quote. Mr. Speaker, I do not agree with this fearful, misleading, and I would say fear-mongering characterization of the realities of farm life. The Minister for Justice stood here last night and talked about an employer, it could be me, telling my employee to stick his arm inside that running machine and take a block of wood out. That's on Hansard, man. I checked the blues. It's all there. This is the fear-mongering I'm talking about. While safety is the goal of every single farmer I know, they also know what would happen in the event of an accident. Their community would be there in full force to help. We've witnessed it over and over. Mr. Speaker, Bill 6, as it stands, should not be made into law. The family farm is a cornerstone of Alberta's way of life. The blend of personal and business time is inseparable. Bill 6 is a travesty being forced on our rural communities by those with no understanding of the issues. No understanding of the issues. And amply demonstrated by their actions, no willingness to listen. I cannot stand by and watch a way of life and the way of life and so many friends and relatives be impacted so drastically and negatively by a bill, excuse me, sir, so thoughtlessly crafted. Take a drink. For my constituents and the constituents across Alberta that have written me and my fellow MLAs, because their NDP MLAs will not return their calls or emails, I will not vote for this bill.